What happens when a loyal dog, once loved and cared for, is suddenly ripped from everything familiar and left alone in a harsh, freezing wilderness? This is the real story of Buck, a dog who went from a comfortable home to the wild unknown. Forced to survive bitter cold, hunger, and danger, Buck's spirit never broke. Against all odds, he learned to fight, adapt, and finally rise as a leader of a wild wolf pack. This story is not just about survival. It is about courage, strength, and justice. Watch as Buck transforms from a lost pet into a fierce hero who stands up to those who try to break him. This journey is one of hope and inspiration for anyone who has faced hardship. Don't miss this unforgettable tale of bravery and transformation. Buck's early life was one filled with warmth, care, and joy. He lived in a spacious, comfortable home in Santa Clara, surrounded by a loving family led by Judge Miller. The household adored Buck, not only because of his large and impressive size, but also because of his gentle spirit and playful nature. His days were filled with laughter, games, and the simple pleasures of a well-loved dog. The children in the family especially loved him, and Buck was always eager to greet visitors with his wagging tail and bright eyes. He was a proud dog but kind-hearted, and his presence brought happiness to the whole family. Buck's life was peaceful and secure. He enjoyed soft beds, warm meals, and the protection of his family. Even a local town knew of Buck. He was a beloved figure, almost like a gentle giant that everyone respected and adored. His days started with waking up the family, sometimes creating playful chaos, but always ended with affection and care. Life was good. However, fate had other plans. On Judge Miller's birthday, the family set off to the local market to gather supplies for the celebration. Buck, as usual, followed along happily, eager to be part of the outing. He chased after a cyclist in playful excitement, weaving through the busy streets. But amidst the crowd and noise, danger appeared. A man with harsh eyes and no kindness in his heart spotted Buck. To this man, Buck was not a companion or friend, but a source of easy money. The man hatched a cruel plan to capture the dog and sell him for profit. In a sudden and frightening moment, the man seized Buck. The dog struggled and barked, desperate to escape and return to the safety of his family. But the man was strong and merciless. Buck was locked into a small, dark wooden box on a horse cart. The familiar world, the warmth, the love, the comfort, vanished in an instant. All that remained was the cold, the fear, and the unknown journey ahead. Buck's barking echoed in the empty streets, but no one came to his aid. The box was sealed, and the cart began moving away from the town he had called home. Hours turned into days as Buck was transported far away. The cold air was sharp, and the sounds were strange. He was taken to Skagway, Alaska, a place of ice, snow, and wild danger. This was a world completely unlike the one he had known, a world where survival was uncertain. Despite his fear and confusion, Buck's spirit remained strong. He understood that he could not give up. His journey was only beginning, and it would demand all the strength and courage he could find. The dog who had once lived a peaceful life was about to face the greatest challenges of his existence. But inside, a fierce will survive burned bright. Buck was no ordinary dog. He was destined for something much greater. Buck's arrival in Alaska was like stepping into another world, one ruled by ice, snow, and biting winds that cut through even the thickest fur. The warmth and comfort of his old home were gone. Instead, he faced an endless white landscape that stretched as far as the eye could see. The cold was harsh and unforgiving, and survival here would be a struggle unlike any he had faced before. At first, Buck was overwhelmed by the relentless winter. Snow piled high around him, and every breath came out as a cloud of frozen mist. The wind howled through the mountains, shaking the trees and sweeping across the frozen rivers. Buck had never experienced such cold. His paws ached with the frost, and his body shivered despite his thick coat. The familiar smells of home were replaced by sharp, unfamiliar scents of pine, ice, and wild animals. Buck was not alone, but the company he found was far different from the loving family he had known. He was thrown into a team of sled dogs, animals trained to pull heavy loads across ice and snow. These dogs were tough, hardened by the cruel climate and demanding work. They lived for the harsh routine of pulling heavy loads over ice and snow, day after day. The sled team was led by Spitz, a large, fierce husky who ruled with a strict paw. Spitz was aggressive, quick to snap at any dog who challenged him. From the moment Buck arrived, Spitz saw him as a threat. The new dog's size and strength worried the leader, and Spitz made it clear that he would not allow Buck to take his place without a fight. Life with the sled dogs was nothing like the gentle care Buck had known. It was filled with harsh discipline and constant demands. The human drivers expected obedience, and any mistake could mean punishment or worse. Buck had to learn quickly how to work with a team, to follow commands without hesitation, and to endure the physical pain of pulling a sled through deep snow and frozen paths. The nights were the hardest. When the team stopped to rest, the cold air turned even sharper. Buck learned to curl tightly, burying his nose beneath his thick fur to keep warm. He learned how to share body heat with the other dogs and to conserve his energy for the long day ahead. Food was scarce, given only in small portions to keep the dogs working, but never enough to satisfy hunger fully. Buck's body changed. His muscles grew stronger, his coat thicker, and his endurance greater. The other dogs watched Buck carefully. At first, some avoided him, while others challenged him in small ways to test his strength and spirit. Buck's size was impressive, but it was his determination and courage that earned him respect. He refused to be pushed aside or broken. Each day was a new lesson in survival. He learned how to read the signs of the wild, the direction of the wind, the sound of approaching danger, the feel of thin ice underfoot. Though the cold bit deep and the work was exhausting, Buck began to understand the rhythm of his new life. The snow was no longer just a barrier. It was the land he must master. The wilderness, once frightening, became a place of challenge and possibility. Every pull of the sled, every step to the frozen world, was a step toward becoming stronger and wiser. Buck's time with the sled dogs was shaping him into more than just a pet. He was becoming a survivor, ready for whatever lay ahead. The lessons he learned in the ice and snow prepared him for the battles to come, both with other dogs and with the wild forces of nature. Buck was no longer the gentle companion of his past. He was growing into a powerful, determined leader. Life on the sled dog team was not easy, and the struggle for power was constant. Spitz, the lead dog, ruled with fear and force. He was a fierce, cunning husky who expected absolute loyalty and obedience from the other dogs. To Spitz, Buck was an intruder, a large, strong newcomer threatening his position as alpha. From the moment Buck arrived, Spitz made it clear that he would not tolerate competition. Spitz's aggression was relentless. He snapped at Buck, growled whenever Buck approached the lead position, and made sure to keep him in line with threats and intimidation. The other dogs watched closely, sensing the growing tension between the two. Spitz's rule was harsh, but he had earned the pack's respect through his strength and control. Buck was different. Though he respected the pack's rules, he was not willing to accept second place. Deep inside, a wild spirit burned, a mix of courage, strength, and determination. Buck was ready to claim the leadership he felt was his right. But to do that, he had to defeat Spitz. The rivalry escalated quickly. The two dogs exchanged snarls and bites, circling each other with caution and fury. Their fights were fierce, testing both their bodies and wills. The cold air was filled with the sounds of growls, heavy breathing, and the clash of sharp teeth. The other dogs held back, wary of joining the conflict, but knowing the outcome would change their lives. Buck fought with both power and intelligence. He had learned from his struggles on the sled team that strength alone was not enough. He needed to be quick, agile, and clever. Buck dodged many of Spitz's attacks, using his size and skill to push back. Every strike was calculated, every movement purposeful. The battle was long and brutal. Neither dog gave an inch easily, but Buck's will was stronger. He fought not just for power, but for survival and respect. The other dogs watched as Buck slowly gained the upper hand. Spitz, once confident and fierce, began to falter. Finally, in a decisive moment, Buck landed a strong, well-timed attack that sent Spitz sprawling. The pack was silent. Spitz rose, but no longer showed the confidence he once had. Buck stood tall, breathing heavily but victorious. The pack recognized their new leader. From that day forward, Buck led with strength and fairness. He was no tyrant like Spitz, but a leader who earned loyalty through courage and kindness. His victory marked the beginning of a new chapter, not only for himself but for the entire sled dog team. Buck's fight for power was more than a simple battle. It was a test of character, a struggle to claim a rightful place in a harsh world. Through his courage and determination, Buck showed that leadership came from heart and strength combined. After defeating Spitz and becoming the leader of the sled dog team, Buck felt something stirring deep inside, a call from the wild that he could no longer ignore. The frozen wilderness around him was vast and untamed, full of dangers and mysteries. For the first time, Buck sensed a new life awaiting him beyond the icy trails and human commands. One day, while exploring the dense forest and snowy hills, Buck encountered a pack of wolves. These wild animals lived free, roaming the forest with grace and strength. At first, Buck was cautious, unsure if the wolves would accept him. The wolves were wary too, watching the large dog closely. But Buck's courage and presence commanded respect. Slowly, the wolves warmed to him, sensing the wild spirit that echoed in his heart. Buck's instincts began to awaken. He learned to hunt silently, to move through the shadows, and to listen to the sounds of the forest. His senses sharpened, and his body grew leaner and stronger. The wilderness taught him the skills he needed to survive without human help. Life in the wild was challenging. Buck faced threats from other animals, hunger, and brutal winters. He learned to protect himself and the pack he now belonged to. The wolves trusted him as their leader, and Buck led them with a balance of strength and kindness. The connection with the wild changed Buck. He was no longer just a dog trained to pull sleds. He was a fierce, intelligent leader of a wolf pack. The call of the wild had transformed him into a creature of freedom and power, and he found a true home in the vast wilderness. Buck's journey was not only about survival, but also about courage and justice. Though abandoned and betrayed by humans, Buck never forgot the pain he endured. But he was no longer a helpless dog. He had become a protector and a leader. When danger came to his new family, the wolf pack, Buck stood ready. He fought fiercely to defend those he loved. His strength and bravery inspired loyalty and respect among the pack. Buck became more than a leader. He was a guardian of the wild, feared by enemies and loved by his own. Far from the comfort of his old home, Buck found purpose and hope. His story became a legend in the wilderness, a tale of transformation from a lost pet to a powerful alpha. He showed that even after betrayal and hardship, one can rise above and lead with honor. Buck's life among the wolves was full of challenges, but also freedom. He learned the true meaning of loyalty and strength. His journey teaches us that courage comes from within, and even in the darkest times, we can find light. Buck's story is a reminder that the spirit of the wild lives in all of us. It is a tale of hope, resilience, and the power of the heart. No matter where life takes us, the courage to survive and lead can guide our way.